What's up, you lot? No foot champions because unfortunately I didn't register for this weekend league in time. As you can see, if I register my foot champions points, it will qualify me for next weekend. But don't worry, it just means that I got a different FIFA video. I'm going to be showing you how I defend today, and there are 3 rules that I always follow whenever I defend in FIFA to reduce the amount of goals I concede and get me more wins in Ultimate Team. Just before we start, I want to let all the new viewers know who I am. My name is Nige. I post FIFA and Warzone content on this channel. For FIFA, it's Road to Glory or FIFA tips. For Warzone, I also post not just entertainment but tips as well. If you're into those kind of things, consider subscribing to my channel and like the video if you enjoy it. Okay, so let's get started. So the first rule that I follow when I defend in FIFA 21 is press in opponent's half, not in my half. Pressing is an aggressive defensive playing style that applies pressure to my opponent when he has possession of the ball. The team as a collective tries to win the ball back as quick as possible, which increases the likelihood of retaining the ball and minimizing my opponent's ability to create chances and score goals. It's a popular defensive style. All the decent, if not pro players use it. The consequences, however, forces you to put your players out of position because obviously they are trying to aggressively go at the opponent and win the ball back ASAP. And of course, it requires you to run at your opponent constantly, so your team's stamina will drain faster if you apply the pressing defensive style. So the rule I set for myself is to always press and only press in my opponent's half and not in my half, because if the ball's on my opponent's half, it means he has very little chance to create goal scoring opportunities or score from his own half, which gives me the license to apply pressure to my opponent in case I'm able to create an opportunity if I regain the ball, especially in their half. But if I press in my half, I'm forced to put players out of position, which is dangerous because then it will expose areas in my defense which my opponent will definitely exploit, which would then result in me conceding goals. So it's very important that this rule is applied. If you're looking to apply pressing defensive style to your game, I highly recommend that you follow this rule as well. Okay, so the second rule that I apply to my defending is mark the zone, not the player. Instead of man marking, which is a decent and traditional way of defending, I mark zones. Each player has a zone in their respective positions. When defending a zone, it just means that a player has all the room to move within his zone, which is in his vicinity. He is not allowed to leave his zone and enter another person's zone. And the reason why it is important for my players to remain in their zone to maintain the defensive shape, meaning maintaining the shape of the formation. And I especially apply this when I'm defending in my own half, so that my players don't leave space for my opponent to exploit, and therefore it makes it harder for my opponent to create chances and is forced to play a bit slower, which gives me the opportunity to defend it easier and eventually pounce on my opponent whenever he makes a wrong pass. So if you're playing Ultimate Team or any game mode in FIFA 21, I recommend you start playing zonal marking instead of man marking, so that you maintain your team's shape. It will make your defense harder to break through and essentially making it harder for your opponent to score against you, meaning you concede less goals. Higher odds for you winning the game. And lastly, the third rule I always follow whenever I play FIFA and defend is when in doubt, take 10 yards back. So this applies when your opponent is in the middle of counter-attacking you, or he's building up his attack, reached your own half, your own penalty box even. What my third rule essentially means is to sit back and wait for your opponent to make a mistake. Even if that means you have to give him a bit of space, maybe 10 yards back, just to make sure he doesn't beat your defender, create a chance and score a goal. Again, this way of defending requires you to maintain your formation, your defensive shape, making sure your players don't go out of position minimizing the spaces you create for your opponent to exploit, making it harder for your opponent to score. There are so many times, if you've seen my Road to Glory series, where I bring my center back, for example, out of position to apply pressure to my opponent, try to win the ball back, and I fail, and then my opponent exploits the space that I just created for him, which leads to me conceding a goal. So in those situations, you should always sit back or bring 10 yards back to give no spaces for your opponent to take advantage of. You'll be surprised in how much goals you don't concede if you just sit back and let your opponent make a move, and then you can react and make a well-timed tackle and regain possession of the ball. And I know I said 3 rules, but I'm going to leave a bonus tip. It kind of applies to rule 3. Keep your player in front of your opponent as well, especially if you see players running in behind. If you don't know how to defend in that situation, bring the closest defender or player that is next to that opponent, that attacker, and just put the guy in front of him. That will once again hopefully stop that potential deadly counter-attack or attacking play, and gives you the chance to regain possession and restart your build-up play. Even if that means you have to run your defender way back and remove the chances of your opponent from being offside because your player is so way back. Keep your player, your defender, in front of the attacker that's making a run in behind. That will eliminate him from getting on the ball and scoring. So these are the 3 rules that I always apply to my defending in FIFA 21, especially when I play FUT Champions. So it has improved my results even a little bit. I'm still learning other ways to effectively defend better. I mean, if you don't apply these rules, try them out next time you play FIFA and let me know how you do in the comments below. Let me know if you have a way of defending, or if there's any rules that you apply whenever you defend in FIFA. I will be going more in depth in defensive strategies and defensive tips in the future. So if you are brand new and you ain't subscribed yet, consider subscribing if you want to get those videos as soon as I upload them. But that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you reached this far, my name is Nige. I will see you very soon in the next video, but until then, I am out. Thank you and peace.